We're going to get started. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the third annual Instruction to Industry Virtual Career Expo event for high school students. My name is Pam Nagurka. I'm the Partnership Coordinator for Work-Based Learning in Arlington Public Schools. I will be the moderator for the Energize Today, Drive Tomorrow Industry discussion tonight. So let's get started. I want to first start by giving my sincere appreciation to tonight's industry professionals for taking the time this evening to share their diverse perspectives on the current and future workforce in energy, transportation, distribution, and logistics. We encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to learn from the panel. Hopefully, after leaving tonight, you'll feel more knowledgeable about the industry and better prepared for your post-secondary future. During the session, you are encouraged to share your favorite moments and what you find interesting on social media using the hashtag instruction2industry tagline, instruction to industry tagline. At the end of the webinar, a link to an exit survey will be sent to you. This survey will provide you with the ability to share your feedback on the panel discussion. Please make sure to stay until the end to ensure the survey link is sent. The panel discussion will run from 5 to 5:45. We will start with introductions and then get right to the conversation. So, welcome all. Tonight's panelists include Eugene Thompson with Day & Zimmerman. Day & Zimmerman provides maintenance and construction services in the energy industry, serving nuclear, fossil, and solar markets. As fleet director supporting Dominion Energy, his focus is staffing the nuclear outages at North Anna and Surrey power stations. Jermail Foster is with Dominion Power, dedicated to providing reliable, affordable, and increasingly clean energy that powers your everyday. Dominion Power's Jermail Foster specializes in talent acquisition, resource management, employee relations, career counseling, training and development for the energy giant Dominion Power. Hervé Filliet is the CEO of Ipsun Solar. Ipsun Solar installs residential and commercial solar PV systems. Ipsum comes from the Latin ipsum, meaning your own. Instead of purchasing electricity from your utility company with rates going up every year in an uncompetitive market and fuels causing pollution and climate change, Ipsum Solar allows you to own your power, lock in your price of electricity, and add value to your home and business by generating clean, renewable energy. And we have Megan Milo. Megan Milo is the curriculum and instruction lead for SunTribe. In less than a decade, SunTribe has grown into one of the largest clean energy companies in the Mid-Atlantic region, and Ms. Milo helps schools get the most out of their solar. We are going to, throughout this session, I will read a question, and each panelist will have roughly 1 to 2 minutes to share their response. I know I just introduced each of you, but if you could please on the first question state your name and organization before you answer so our students fully understand who you are and what you have to share. And with that, I will begin with Mr. Thompson and we'll go through the line. So what is your favorite part about working for your company or in your career field? And what is the hardest part?
Thank you. This is Eugene Thompson. I'm the fleet director for Day & Zimmerman, a maintenance and construction company. My favorite part is the industry I work in. The industry I work in is vital to the decarbonization of America and making America more green. And so having a mission like that makes it very easy to go to work every day. You're excited about the opportunities. And I really enjoy the people I work with, the people I get to lead, and the people that work for me and that I work with at Dominion Energy. The other part was the hardest part, Pam.
Yes, the hardest part.
I would say the hardest part about working in the nuclear industry is getting badged for the first time. In order to work in a nuclear power station, you have to have pass a security background check, and that means as a young person coming out of high school, that's fairly straightforward because you haven't had a lot of jobs yet, a lot of work experience. But it's still a challenge that first time. And so a lot of times people will see that as a barrier to entry. But the good news is once you get it done one time, it's perpetually good. You have to redo it every 5 years, but as long as you stay in the system, you can work in the system. So decide if you want to work in our field and get a badge on your first outage, and you'll be good to go.
Thank you for sharing about the energy that your company works on, as well as some of the security things that our students should consider. Jermail, can you share with us and share with Dominion Energy?
Certainly. I'm Jermail Foster. I'm the workforce planning specialist here at Dominion. The best part about my job, or what I enjoy the most, is being able to help people, find careers that they would have otherwise not known about. The culture of our company of watching people grow, cultivating their careers and the different pathways. You may see someone start as a lineman and end up being a vice president. And seeing their career path along the way is the joy of the job for me. The hardest part is kind of in the same vein. The hardest part is getting the exposure to students at a young age to realize that no matter what career field they may think they want to go into, there's a home at Dominion. We have a million different jobs, not a million actually, of course, but there are so many different ways and career paths that can still lead you to the energy industry, and passing that message along to students. It's so many students and it's only two of us on our team, so getting that message out can be hard at times.
Thank you very much. Herv, could you share with us your favorite part about working and starting your company in the career field, as well as the hardest part?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Hervé with Ipsen Solar. We are the smallest company here on this panelist, and we install residential panels. So when you just drive by and you see solar panels on a home or a building, someone needs to literally just attach them and then tie all the electrical systems to that home or building. So that's what we do every day. What I love the most about the job I'm doing is that it's as close as you get to magic. Like sunlight hits a panel and you have electricity flowing out on the other side. It's beautiful. It's magic. And so that's the nicest piece of the industry. I mean, the hardest piece is dealing with unhappy customers. So once you have, at the beginning when I got started with Ipsen Solar, I knew everybody by name. I knew their pets. I knew, everybody. But then once the company grows, you don't know anybody anymore. We have thousands of customers across the Virginia, Maryland, DC. And so I don't know my customers all by name anymore. I mean, that's way past. And so sometimes when you install thousands of systems, like it's construction, sometimes things go wrong. I mean, we had a customer calling us like, hey, one of your electricians stepped on my plans installing an inverter. And it's like, yeah, sorry, oops. And so I have to deal with like some unhappy customers. And that really is the hardest piece. Like I want every customer to be super happy. And in construction, sometimes, we drop a hammer or like an impact drill and make some damage. So it does happen. That's the worst part. We don't live on a perfect planet yet. So
Thank you, Hervé. Megan, can you share with us your favorite part about working for your company or in the field, as well as the hardest or most difficult part?
Sure. My name's Megan Milo. I work for SunTride Solar, and I'm actually on the other side of the spectrum with in the solar industry. So we do commercial and utility scale solar, so larger systems, and I work primarily with school customers. So I am our curriculum and instruction lead, but I also lead a lot of business development efforts. So one of my favorite things is both my favorite and most challenging part of the job, which is that there's a lot of change happening now in the renewable energy industry. It feels new and exciting and innovative, but also so that is really fun and one of my favorite parts about it. It's never boring. The other side is that that's also really challenging when the policies change and all of a sudden that changes, what the business model looks like, or how much it can save people money, or how much things cost, or what materials are available. So the changing industry is both the best and the hardest part.
So, Megan, it's interesting that you share with us about change, because energy is the newest cluster that we have in Virginia. And so, as we're developing new courses, that comes with change, and we have to learn too. So, I'm going to start back with you and ask you about your career journey. Was it straightforward? Did you always know that this energy industry was of interest to you, or did you take a more circuitous route to your position? Tell us about your journey.
Well, I actually, you said either or, and it was actually both for me. So I've always been interested in technical subjects, engineering, and sustainability related fields. But I did take a very circuitous route. So I started out studying engineering in college. Then I moved to economics. And then when I graduated, I ended up working for an engineering firm, not as an engineer, but really on a marketing side. So I was always related to that sustainability field. And then I decided to do a total career change. I became a teacher for 6 years, and I taught math in a middle school. And then in the midst of COVID and some really big family changes for us, again, a door kind of opened, converging those two paths. And now I am our curriculum instruction lead for a solar company. So it's really those merging of those two worlds. So what I get to do now is work with schools to integrate renewable energy curriculum that relates to their solar energy systems on their school. So not a very direct path. And I would say, at least with the people that I work with, a lot of people have similar stories where they didn't start out saying, I want to get into exactly the position that I'm in, but they learned some foundational skills and then and learned how to learn, and then really worked to specialize in their position.
Thank you very much for that. Hervé, could you share with us your route and journey in starting your own business and how you found solar?
All right. Well, it's quite a journey. So, as a student, I studied engineering, which is a degree like electromechanical engineering. Doesn't exist in the US, but basically you take half of electrical classes, half of mechanical classes. And some friends wanted to build a solar car. And so I paused my my studies for 1 year, actually 2 years, to build the first Belgium solar car. So that's what got me into the solar energy. Moved then to the US and started first solar company in Alabama. My wife's from Alabama. So I looked at the solar radiation map, plenty of solar there, actually 4%, 40% more than where I was growing up in Belgium. So I thought it would be easy to start a solar business. So there is something called the NEC code, National Electric Code, that literally at the time was like 10 pages. It tells you exactly how to design solar. Now you can read entire books that are written about the 10 pages. So just buckle up, just read 10 pages. And if you just read those 10 pages, you knew everything about how to design a solar system. And I just sold and installed 3 systems. I did it myself. I was on the roof, nearly fell off. So that's when I realized like I better stay on the ground. But then I got my first solar company. It didn't work. Rule number 1 of a small business, you need customers. 3 customers a year is not good enough. After that, I worked for US federal government, Department of Energy, did some consulting, some IT stuff. But then at some point, like, I really want to restart a solar company. So I was in Virginia at the time, started in Virginia, Maryland and DC to install solar. They asked you for a lot of licenses and taking more exams and so on. I have plenty of degrees, so taking exams, like, all right, take some more exams, can do that. So once you get off all the licenses, you can start selling and installing solar. And then now we're 7, 8 years later and just doing just that. So it's a very simple business model. You find somebody that's interested in solar, you convince them to go solar with you, and then you design, permit, install. You have we do everything in-house at Ipsen Solar. And as soon as you finish one project and you make sure you do everything well, so that we don't have those unhappy customers, right? It's all about having very happy customers, because then the word spreads, and so that's a lot of our business. It's just happy customers that tell their neighbors, and then after a little bit of you reaching out to people, now we just answer the phone of people that want to have solar with Epson Solar, and you install the first one, second one, and then you fill up your backlog and you just keep going. You just grow the company very organically. So I have an MBA and you have some very complicated business model. This is the simplest thing ever. Like, find people that want your product, you do a good job every time, and you keep doing it.
I love the way you talk about it being a simple business model. I want to remind you that we're talking about wicked smart teenagers. So I have a feeling you're going to have some competition very shortly. Jermail, can you share with us your journey in where you are and how you got there and what you learned?
Sure, my pleasure. So mine was not linear. I didn't just hop right into the energy industry. I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps doing workforce development and planning for them, all the way from ground level sourcing to strategic level planning prior to my retirement. I was lucky enough to be connected to a sourcer from, or a recruiter in other terms, from Dominion Energy about a year before I transitioned. So up to that point, I knew nothing of energy, but I did know the relationship I built with the gentleman who had expressed interest in hiring me. It took a process of time, but I was able to come to Dominion as a nuclear sourcer. So looking for the talent in the nuclear field, supporting some of the Gene's efforts as well. And now I'm in a workforce development role and learning about energy daily because it's not my natural background, and just seeing the opportunities that are out there from wind to solar to nuclear and all of the different ways we provide energy and the people that it takes of all walks of life to get that started and running has just proven to be astounding to me, that those opportunities are there. And I'm happy to share with anybody that I can spread the good news to, that there's an opportunity at Dominion for them to experience it as well.
Thank you very much. And Eugene, we'll wrap up this question with you about your journey and whether it was straightforward, circuitous, and any nuggets of information you'd like to share.
Sure. So I would say very circuitous, kind of like Jermail. I did 20 years in the United States Navy, but I was in the nuclear power program. And so when I retired from the Navy, the opportunity was to stay in the power industry. And I went and worked in the fossil industry as a performance engineer, working on boilers, fossil coal-fired boilers across the United States. In 2008, I had the opportunity to move back into nuclear power. Very thankful for that. If you've ever been to a coal burning plant and then you go to a nuclear plant, there's a big difference in cleanliness, and it's just a great place to work overall. Been with Day and Zimmerman for about 10 years now, and been the fleet director working with Dominion Energy and here in Virginia for the last 5 years. And in this role, I staff their outages, I staff their online work, bring in the resources they need to perform large projects and maintenance and refueling activities. But probably the most exciting thing about my job is the opportunity to bring people into our industry. Just this past year in 2023, we developed a nuclear worker training program that's targeted to bring new to nuclear people into our industry right out of high school or right out of the junior college trade school, the Fast Forward program, or through another program within the community college system. So it's been really exciting these last couple of years, really being able to engage with the next generation of workers for these nuclear power stations.
Thank you. Jermail, I'm going to send the next question to you, and this is about your field, about energy. What are some common misconceptions about your industry or the field of like energy as a whole?
Oh, I'll give you two that I've learned in my time here. Most people have the misconception that, one, you have to have a degree to come and start to work for Dominion Energy. In some job cases, you do, but there are plenty of opportunities for high school level individuals who college may not be for them, or they want to fast track to get into a career that could still pay a great salary. That's one misconception. And another one is that we only have line workers. Like, that's, you have to do the nuts and bolts hard skills of doing things. And that's not true also. You can go off to a 4-year university and come back and work in HR. You can be an engineer here. You can be that lineman. So we have a career path for just about everyone. So those are the two misconceptions that I see on a regular basis. But I'm happy to dispel that neither are true.
Thank you. Hervé, what do you see as some misconceptions in your industry?
So the solar industry is still relatively new, and there's a lot of divisions in the solar industry. What I mean by divisions is like you have the small residential installer, you have the commercial installer, you have an utility installer like SunTribe, and those are very different companies. A few can do both, like SunTribe was more like CNI, commercial industrial, and moving more to utility. Ipsen, we were residential, and we do residential and commercial now. So even companies kind of change around. Maybe one misconception is that when you see solar panels on the roof, you have people installing them, obviously, but we have a ratio of about 50%. 50% of the people at Ipsen work outside in the field, electricians, installers, people sitting in inspections and site surveys. And then 50% of our staff is actually indoors. They sit behind a computer, project managers, designers, people doing sales and marketing, accounting, like all of this also needs to happen legal. So we have about a 50% ratio. So one misconception is that you need everything to make a solar company run. As I mentioned, the accounting, legal, everything. So there is really something for everybody to be having in a small business.
Thank you very much. I like having that small business lens. Megan, can you share with us some common misconceptions?
Sure, I just say I agree with Jermail and Hervé about, like when I first started in the solar industry, when I had an image of a person who worked in solar, I was thinking hard hat, high visibility vest, steel-toed boots, and there's a lot of really invisible work that happens in both the solar industry and the energy industry. One big misconception that I would say about solar is that it is a more expensive source of energy. And as the technology develops and as certain federal incentives help with tax rebates, it actually can be a less expensive source of energy over the long term. So for example, when schools choose to go solar, it can actually save them millions of dollars without costing them anything up front. So that was one of the major misconceptions that I think a lot of the public has. There's also some information or misinformation about, solar panels having toxic materials and affecting health, which are not proven.
Thank you. Lots of misconceptions and great opportunities. Eugene, can you share with us some of the misconceptions that you've seen?
Sure. I think one, I'll join Jermail in saying you don't have to be a nuclear engineer to work at a nuclear power station. There's lots of other jobs, and that's a big misconception. The other one is just nuclear in general, right? I mean, the history of nuclear in America with 3 Mile Island and then other events in the industry overseas tends to make people think, hey, that's an industry I don't want to work in. But I can tell you that I don't share that fear, because having worked in the industry, seen the professionals that run these plants, the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations that provides that self-governing oversight of the power stations, it's a safe place to work. And it's a good place to work, a clean place, a safe place to work. So I would say that's probably the two misconceptions that I think off the top of my head. But again, there's just great opportunities here in nuclear energy.
So really helping students learn about what is out there is important. I'm going to start with you, Hervé, and I'm going to ask, as you see it, what are the kind of hot career trends in the field of energy that you're starting to see?
All right, there's a cool question. So solar is still relatively new as an industry. And so you start having more like companies that are large enough that they can invest in more software to manage their customers and do new kind of stuff. So one thing that I see coming up, not only installing solar, but people want batteries. Batteries when the grid goes down to be resilient, or just especially in California, new rules came out so that the solar power you produce, you have to kind of keep on site, and that's where batteries are so important over there. But so once you have batteries, you can virtually connect batteries together. So I actually started a second company, a software business, to start doing that kind of stuff. So not only do you see the trends, it's like, well, do you just speak about it or you just participate in it? And to other students listening, that is maybe my main takeaway, is that the world is your oyster. There is so much to be done. And you maybe you go from one class to the next, but at some point you need to take charge and decide what you want, what you want to go do. And there's so many possibilities on this planet that don't let somebody else decide for you. Just see what you like doing, and there are so many possibilities. And so what I see is the solar industry is still relatively new, not just in the US, but globally, worldwide. So once companies grow, they have more budgets to buy more stuff and innovate and do stuff, and that is all happening right now. So it's a fantastic moment to be part of this industry.
So it sounds like it's really, it's the new kid on the block, if you will. So Eugene, I'm going to ask you to share with us about what you see as hot trends.
Yeah, so I would say that the fundamental trades, being a welder, a pipe fitter, scaffold builder, a mechanic, those are still very much a growth or an area to grow in. We are understaffed in all those areas. But as we look at digitizing our plants, moving our plants from 1970s, 1980s technologies into digital technologies, the need for instrument and control technicians, those types of trades are even more in demand now. And that's what we're seeing as we revitalize these plants.
Thank you. Megan, can you share with us the trends you're starting to see in your field?
Sure. Yeah. One of the biggest things, and I agree with the battery storage part, but one of the biggest things that I see becoming a need is for operations and maintenance. So whether it's wind or solar or nuclear, a lot of these plants, these technologies last for decades, right? They're built to last for decades. So we have a lot of new solar coming online now, and we need electricians, we need technicians, we need people in the field, we need supply chain people, warranty managers, to manage these systems and make sure that they are performing as planned, right? One of the coolest things that I have run into lately as a growing career in solar is drone pilots. I never would have imagined that would be a growing career in solar, but what they can do is somebody can fly a drone with an infrared camera above a huge array with thousands of solar panels, and they can see just in a second which cells are a little too hot and need to be investigated. That used to have to be done by someone holding, an instrument up to each individual module, and it would take, a much longer time. So as the innovations in technology advance, those jobs also change.
Thank you. Jermail, can you share with us the trends that you're seeing in the field, particularly as it applies to Dominion Energy?
Certainly, I think if anything, this panel has shown that the needs are pretty similar across the board. I can only echo what the other panelists have said, but I will add that with demand comes a good wage. The hot trends are here. We have wind in Virginia now off the coast of Virginia Beach. We have nuclear with mini modular reactors coming online in different states. Just this need for skilled tradesmen and women is huge and will only continue to grow. As the industry grows, so will the need. And we'll be here 20 years from now having the same conversation as things will continue to grow and multiply.
Well, so far you guys have done a really wonderful job of helping our students get excited about energy and look at all the possibilities. So here's the question. In your opinion, as you think about your 17 or 18-year-old self, what do you think is the single most important thing students can do when thinking about pursuing a position in the field of energy? Where do they start? What do they do? And I'll start with whoever wants to jump in. Why don't we do it that way?
I'll take the first stab at it. Uh, I would offer to be curious, regardless of where you're looking to go in the industry or where you think you want to go. Continue to be curious, ask questions, and learn about the industry because goals, life situations continue to change. But there is a niche for you somewhere in the energy industry, regardless of what company you work for, um, that will open your eyes and provide a fulfillment to you. Whether you think today, you know what, at 19, I want to work with my hands. By the time you're 30, you may decide you want to try an office job. Be curious enough to put yourself in positions to ask questions to where you can align yourself with your goals for the future. I think that's the most sage advice you can give anybody at that age. And I wish I had had it. I didn't know the energy industry was here, but had I known, I probably would have done this and be saying, hey, I've been here for 25 years now. So continue to be curious, uh, and don't limit yourself. Just because you found that one thing, continue to ask questions and learn and evolve because the industry will do the same.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would add to that. Don't be afraid to ask someone questions about what they do, what their industry is. Especially those of us in our industries that need people to get involved in our industry. By asking questions either of your CTE instructor, or if you're in a fast forward program at community college, you may find a pathway into get a site visit or get to go on site and see the what people do day to day. We hosted a careers in nuclear orientation at Surrey County High School because someone asked a question. And we had 16 high school seniors come out there, and the overwhelming comment they had when they left was, I saw someone just like me. So the careers are out there. Ask questions, and you'll get connected to the right person who can get you on site to see what that career really looks like.
Thank you.
I wanna maybe combine what both Jermaine and Eugene said. At some point I was a consultant for US government. And so as a consultant, you go from one client to another and you just hop around and you see a lot of different things at the same time. So it's a really easy way to just be curious and be in contact with a lot of different types of jobs. And so also what Eugene said, be curious and ask. Sometimes I have people reach out to me directly. It's like, hey, I'm a student. I have a little project about solar. Can I come and see you? And I'm always like very honored that they reach out and just like I open the warehouse for them on a Saturday morning to kind of walk them through what it looks like. And so, if you look for your career, apply for jobs, you can use Indeed and click apply. Sure, that's a standard way, but if you actually are passionate about something, if you know what you want, just reach out to people and ask for their opinion, ask for their help. It's pretty rare that somebody gonna say like, no, I'm not gonna answer that. So take advantage of that. You're talking with other humans. They would like to help you, of course. And so if you know what you want to do, reach out to companies and reach out to employees there. And not even through LinkedIn, you have easy access to pretty much anybody you want on this planet. So reach out and ask for help. And in my case, it's not uncommon for me to that people reach out and I show them what we know and guide them at a company.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree with everything that everybody said so far. And in fact, like personally, I almost went to college, 4 years of college for an industry that I thought I wanted to be in. And I spent 4 hours in the field with somebody and I was like, nope, actually, that's not what I want to do. So I really can't emphasize enough the value of really just reaching out and trying to find out what the day in a life is of where you might want to start and then be open to growth. The other thing that I would say is that you don't have to be an expert from the beginning, but you very often need to have some foundational skills. So, if you think you might be interested in an engineering path, the great news is that electrons flow the same way through wires, whether that, electric current was generated through wind, solar, nuclear, coal, whatever it may be. So understanding those foundations of engineering concepts, of electricity, how everything fits together, how our energy grid works, what the goals are. All of that is really, really important. And then you can learn the specialty skills either on the job, or you can take some courses specific to that. But without those foundational skills, it can be really hard to get in the door. The other thing I would say as a foundation, communication and collaboration. Whether you think you want to be, driving a maintenance truck, or turning a wrench, or, doing financial analysis, everybody needs to know how to write an email with a capitalized subject line. Everybody needs to know how to work on a team. Everybody needs to know how to show up on time and be responsible and plan ahead. So really working on those foundational professional skills will really put you in a great position to grow and be able to move to where you want to as the industry changes.
Well, before we go any further, I want to speak for all of my colleagues across Northern Virginia in our instruction to industry consortium and say thank you for that, because that's what we do, right? We want our students to experience a little bit of what they think they're interested in, to find out whether they're absolutely going to love it, or they're going to hate it, or they're just going to practice those work skills. All of that is valuable learning. So thank you for putting that front and center for us. We say it, but it means a lot more when it comes from you. So for the students, I don't see any questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the question box, and I will ask one more question. We'll look at if anyone has posted anything, and then we'll call it a day. But my question is something that sort of came up briefly, and that is about AI, right? Everybody's talking about artificial intelligence and what it is and how cool it is. And, it's kind of the new thing, not that energy is not new, but AI is out there for all of us. So how do you see AI impacting the industry? And talk to us about the opportunities as well as perhaps some of the challenges that you see coming down the pike with AI. And I'll start with Eugene.
Thanks. That's a great question. I think in the nuclear power industry, we'll probably see AI have a greater influence on maybe plant operations, maybe predictive maintenance for when we want to take components out of service and things like that, where we have a lot of data already that we can feed into a system that can then become learning. But when you think about the careers, the trades, the skills, working with your hands, we're not going to see that go to AI. We're still going to need people. We're still going to need electricians. We're still going to need welders and fitters. We're still going to be doing major modifications that AI might be able to help plan or do some of the engineering processes, but it's not going to be able to go out and do the field work. So even though AI is coming at us really fast, there's still always going to be a career for an electrician, a welder, a fitter, a scaffold builder. AI simply just cannot do those things.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add before I ask a question that a student has posted?
Pam, can I just add something? I know that I'm not a panelist.
Sure, absolutely.
So you've gotten a lot of really good advice about learning or being flexible, being creative. Doesn't matter what field you go into. Those are things that are gonna get you farther than you would ever imagine. I studied things that I never thought I would use. And in the end, it's come back in a couple of cases. It's allowed me to keep my job when things got tight or to get a new job. So I would encourage you all to listen very carefully to the folks who are talking here and be flexible, be creative, and learn as much as you can, because you never know where you're going to end up.
Great, thank you. Eugene, can you tell us about AI and where you see it's going?
I'm going to pass that to Jermail.
Okay.
I think AI will have its place. I really think it's too early to nail down where it will be in the industry and where it will have effects. But I will echo what Eugene said. As much as AI can help, it cannot replace some of those hard skills that we see a need for in the near future. Um, so, like I said, I don't want to nail down exactly where we think we'll see it at because I think it's so new in development and practices of some things that are because the energy industry is vitally important to providing a power grid to the nation. I think there's some things there that'll be figured out. And in the meantime, we'll need skilled trades and all of those other things that keep us going.
Lovely. Thank you. I'm going to read a question from one of our students, and I think Eugene, you had offered to answer this. And that is, how does one tap into these invisible opportunities as a high school graduate? If they're interested, what's the next step? And I think they're really looking at, energy, whether it's Dominion Energy or anybody else.
So I would say that if you're looking for a career in the trades, and possibly moving into the energy industry, probably the next best step is working with the Virginia Community College System in their Fast Forward program to start learning the skill. At Day and Zimmerman, we have an app for your phone called DZ Job Links. And on that, you can see every outage across the country, every job opportunity that's out there. And you can simply log on, create an account, upload a resume, tell us what you're interested in, and you can be part of that program. So I would say look for those opportunities. If you're just coming out of high school and you're not college bound and you want to work in the fall outage season, it's as easy as you could shoot me an email and I'll get you to the right people, the right recruiters. But the recruiters are out there. You just need to just show an interest in the industry.
Thank you. And Jermail, did you want to answer that? And then we'll start to wrap up.
Sure. Our careers page, dominionenergy.com. Our careers page has entry-level positions that don't require degrees. Also with, those that require more experience. I would say look there, see what aligns with what your goals are as well as your experience. And then you may start entry level and, into one of our training programs, and 50 months later, you have an amazing salary and a job skill that you can use for a lifetime.
Great. So one last question before we start to wrap this up, because we do need to be on time. And that is, can someone give like an entry-level job title in solar energy or in energy? If I'm a high school graduate, I want something, and I go online and there are all these jobs and I don't even know where to start. What would I look for in a job description?
So for Day and Zimmerman, we post a lot of positions for helpers, mechanical helpers, electrical helpers, carpenter helpers. If there's a field you're interested in, say you're interested in becoming an electrician someday, applying for an outage as an electrical helper, you may come in as a helper one, but it also gives you a taste of the industry and a taste of that career. So helper or laborer positions is our entry-level position in the nuclear industry.
Thank you. For all of the students that are out there, I do want to remind you that we will have links to these conversations so that you'll be able to review, look at the organizations that gave you such wonderful information, and reach out, because that's been the message today. Reach out, reach out, reach out. So I'd like to thank the panelists for providing their unique perspective on energy, transportation, distribution, and logistics. We hope you found it informative and relevant and thought-provoking. Students, remember, if you're interested in learning more about any particular career path, in addition to reviewing these recordings, we do have the Career Exhibitors Fair on Saturday, February 17th at the Dulles Expo, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see that information as well. And we want to thank you for your time, your thought-provoking questions, and just for being the person that you are and being interested in bettering yourself. As we all know, education is continual. So this is a friendly reminder to complete the exit survey. You can grab the URL or snap a QR code. It will also be sent to you. I'm going to ask that you enjoy the rest of your evening and feel free to either stay on the line or come back in if you're interested in learning about our agriculture cluster. And the title of our next session is Earth Stewardship Responsibility, and all about how we can do that with the soil. So thank you for your time. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and we will answer any questions and post them on the respective websites. Thank you all for coming.